Hello beautiful people, welcome to the part 2 of the trouser cutting. You can see this is the result and you can see it sitting pretty. So let's move to the part 2. So now you'll be cutting your pockets. Depends on the weight, on the length that you want it. I'm having 13 by 14 with me. That is my width 13, then the length 14. But you can go ahead to make your width 12. I think your width can also be 11. It just depends on how wide you want your pocket to be. And then your length can be 12, and how deep the length should be is not a standard measurement on how deep or how wide your pocket should actually be. So I've just gone ahead to cut the first one, and because the pocket is definitely 2, I'm trying to get the second part out. So I'm just going to curve the down part a little bit. Let's give it a little bit curving. It's not necessarily necessary, and then your curve can even be bigger than that. So I'm just giving an asterisk to identify the front and the back and the back, because it's a plain material, so there's no front. There's really no front and back. It's hard to identify it. So once you are done with that, you place the front facing the front part together. Then you place it with your front of your fabric of your pocket as well, the two together. I'm just trying to blend it actually. Once I've done that, I'm going to be going in by 1.5 inches. I'm going to be going in by 1.5 inches. As you can see, yes, I'm going in by 1.5 inches. Then I'll be bringing it down by 7 inches. That is actually the standard for pockets, so that it can your hands can pass through. So your hands can pass through. So you see my hands now, so it's easy for it to pass through. So I'm just going to slant it. So I'm just going to slant it now and then. This is how it's going to be after while sewing. This is how it's going to be. There's going to be spacing. Because we've slanted it, it's not going to be equal. There will be a difference of 1.5 inches or 2 inches, as the case may be, because after sewing it will enter inside. So the 1.5 we slanted in is, you can make it 1 if you wish to. You can make it 1 if you wish to. So I've gone ahead to dart it now. It's time to place the pockets. So I've gone ahead to give it dart because there is a dart allowance in the trouser. If you do not want to dart your trouser, it's also okay. So I've gone ahead to dart 5 inches for the length for all the 4 parts of the trousers, please. So that's part I marked is my inside. So I'm going to be connecting the 2 slanted parts together. That's for the pocket, the 7 inches. I'm going to be connecting it together, like as you're going to see me do now. So that is it. I will also top stitch. I'm going to be top stitching the pocket side, or under stitching rather. I'm going to be under stitching. For some persons, they can decide to also top stitch, but for me, I under stitched. So here is how it's going to be. Can you see? Please take notes. follow along as the video is going on. Now once you do that, you see the down part and the up part, you'll be securing it. Mostly the up, I'll be securing it with pins. Please, you always make sure you work with your pins. Working with your pins is always very important. This is not the only part where we'll be pinning it together. We would also be doing it in other aspects of the sewing. So I've pinned it to secure it together now. So I want to do the down part. Just me closing the down part of the pocket, closing the down part of the pocket, and you can go ahead to weave if you have or you can go ahead to weave now, or you can weave later. So I've secured the down parts, and then the upper parts that I pinned, I'm going to make sure I sew it together like this. So this is just how it is. This is just how to actually get them already through. That's just how to actually put it. So I'll be repeating the process for the other side. I'm repeating the process for the other side. You sew it, you turn it, you sew it with top stitch or you under stitch. Anyone that will work for you. You flip it across, you turn. So I'm also top stitching that up part. I didn't pin this part now, so you can top stitch at once or you pin. So I'm basically repeating the same thing I did for the first part. Then you'll be turning it, then you'll be closing it. Basically repeating what I did before. Can you see? See, so it's just actually the same process as well. It's just the same process. So can you see it now? So I'm just going to go ahead to give it a nice pressing. I'm going to go ahead to iron it properly, and this is the result after ironing it properly. Can you see? So this is the result after ironing it properly now. So the next is to sew the main pockets together. So like I said before, if you are having issues with with your length not being equal whenever you are through sewing or whenever you want to sew, please stay tuned, continue watching the video. But before then, make sure it's already equal from the cotton. Making sure it's equal from the cotton is another thing. Did you draft it properly? You drafted it properly. If you not draft it properly, it's one way at which your length would not be the same thing. So you always make sure you cross check that you drafted it properly. So I'm joining my lengths together, my crotch parts together, but I didn't start from the upside for the back because of my zip, because I'm going to be infusing my zip to it. So I started where my zip was going to stop to connect and then connect it down. You can see. So I'm starting with the crotch parts. You start the shaping with the crotch. So once you are done, you give it a neat pressing as well. I've actually done that. I'm giving it a neat pressing. Then you connect the two crotch sides together. You pin them together. So now, working with pin is always very vital. It is 100% vital. You pin the crotch part together, then you go to the down, then you pin it together. So that way you'll be able to secure your trouser in a way that it's not going to shift. You secure your trousers in a way that it is not going to shift. You secure it with pins. you secure with pins as you see me do. So you blend, you connect together, securing it with pins. Once you are doing that, they will definitely be equal on the two parts. They will definitely be equal on the two parts. And you see, you just, so I'm practically working with what I have pinned. I'm just connecting them together. Practically working with what I've pinned, connecting together. So I've run the stitch now. And you notice that they will be equal. You notice that they will definitely be equal. Can you see? So you do the same process for joining of the sides too. You will actually repeat the same process. You'll be repeating the same process. You'll be pinning. Now we are going to show the parts where we'll be sewing the pockets now. We're going to show the parts where we'll be sewing the pockets. Please take notes. So I want to shape. So I did not really need to be cross-checking my measurement because it's just the exact allowance that I wanted that I added. So you stop exactly where your pocket is going to be. Please, can you see? Then you take the pocket across, then you continue from there. So it's basically just what to do. You while sewing the pockets, it's just for you to follow this method and work with your pins. There's really no hard and fast rule of this. Make sure while drafting it was correct, then work with your pins. It will give you an equal base. You can see my base is equal. It's not shifting. One part is not higher with half an inch, another part is not higher with another. Then after sewing it, this is the result of my pockets. Can you see this down part? I didn't put it to enter my shapings. So I'm just going to do the same thing for the second part as well. So I'm also making sure I pin. For the second side. So pinning always helps us to get something an accurate result. You pin the base together before you start. You make sure it's properly pinned and you sew. So this is the second side of the pocket. I'm basically going to repeat the same process. You join to the end of that part, that's like that 7 inches, the ending of that part. Then you flip the pocket across. As you can see, you are flipping it. You're not going to sew all the pocket sides together, so that other down part will be dangling. Then you continue from there. It's actually very easy to make. It's not that complicated to do. So this is just what you have to do. Then you keep removing your pins. So once you've pinned, you've arranged it accurately. You can actually use a flat surface. Don't mind me, I'll do it on my hand, on my lap rather. You would end up getting the same. You end up getting a perfect result, because this is usually one of our challenge. We are not getting it equal. So doing this method, you would get it perfectly and equally. Then I'll be going ahead to cut my band. I didn't know the video deleted somehow from my phone. So you'll be going ahead to cut your band. The band should be 3 inches, so that when you fold it you have 1.5. Then after sewing you have 1 inches. So that's just what you're going to do. Then you sew it round and you put your zipper allowance, except you want your band higher than that. But if you follow this procedure, your band doesn't have to be too high. And this is the